glad to have you back on the program. It's 2 a.m. today on Osrc television. At this point, we will be looking at the waste management, indiscriminate waste disposal and control. Now that the rainy season is still here and people dispose their wastes indiscriminately, I think we need to take a look at how to handle this situation and what to do about it. We have here in the studio with us the head, Ondo State Waste Management Authority Compliance, Monitoring and Enforcement, Omolara Jones. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, presenter, and good morning, viewers at home.
Now, let's start from our drainages, because even as at this morning, the rain was heavy. You look at the roads, you see wastes in the middle of the road because people dump indiscriminately inside these drainages, which can cause blockage and it comes to the middle of the road. Now, what's the Ondo State Waste Management Agency doing to handle that situation?
Yeah, at our end at Ondo State Waste Management Authority, we are the supervisory body and we have to monitor waste right from the point of generation, transportation, and to the final disposal stage. We have been out there, our officers, the environmental health officers and the health attendants, we have been sensitizing our people on how to containerize waste to start with. We've been telling them that everybody needs to have a waste bin, a prescribed one to be precise. And we have been telling them that it is not legal to drop our waste in the drainages because it serves as obstruction and it leads to flood. So we've been there sensitizing our people. We've been to nook and crannies of Alagbaka, Obadeshida Road, Arakale Road, down to Agbogbo, house to houses, telling them that rainy season we're in rainy season already, so let's know how to manage our waste properly.
Now, mentioning the issue at Obadeshida, Arakale, I'm particularly concerned about those areas. Now, we used to see the dino bins on those areas where owners of shops can actually dump waste inside of it instead of allowing it litter on the roads. Do we still have them there?
No, we don't have. We have what we are telling people to have now is the waste bin, prescribed one, airtight waste bin, and it is not allowed to be placed on the walkway. You have to put it inside your in front of your shop or inside your premises. So when you have the waste collectors around, you push shit out and give to the waste collector.
All right. On that, let's talk about these waste collectors. There are some areas where they don't even visit anymore. Now, let me give you an instance. If you go to Shagari, inside the Shagari estate and the rest of them, you find people dumping wastes indiscriminately everywhere. Now, I don't know if you've been able to look at those areas, the bushes there, and people live in those places too. Is there any effort put in place for these waste collectors to always visit the places apportioned to them, or do they just choose where to go to?
On Shagari area, we will have complaints. We've received complaints from Shagari, and this next environmental sanitation exercise, our team will be going to Shagari. We're going to be attending their landlord association meeting, and during that time we'll be telling them on how to manage their waste properly and their environment.
So, ma'am, you spoke about your opening submission about the mandate of the agency, talking about supervisory roles from point of generation to transportation and all of that. So I begin to wonder, perhaps we break down all of those points. At the point of generation, which of this chain, generation, transportation, I can't place the third one you mentioned, which of this chain appears to be the most important and most critical for you as an agency?
We see all the chains to be very, very important, right from the point of generation. Because day-to-day activities, we generate waste. And right there, we are going to be sensitizing our people on how to start managing waste from the point of generation. We are working on to have a sensitization program whereby our waste can be sought at the point of generation, whereby we have the biodegradable waste to be in a side, and those ones that are not degradable will be in another side. That is where we have the 3 R's coming in. We have the how to reduce the waste, to reuse the waste, and to recover the waste. So by the time we get there in the house and you sort the biodegradable waste, which can be used for compost, what you are going to give to the waste collector at the end of the day is going to be reduced. So that is to start with the point of collection. We now move to the transportation. For those people that are coming to collect your waste, if your waste is properly arranged in a waste bin, it will make it easier for them. And that was why I mentioned the other time that we have our officers outside there telling them on the need to have a prescribed dustbin. And to the final stage of disposal, that is our dump sites. We make sure that the truck they are using in collecting waste is not a dispersed truck, whereby when the truck is going to the dump site, you just end up that the waste will be littering again. Then at the dump site, it is well managed there.
How soon are all of these plans, all of these good ideas that you just mentioned going to come to light?
Yeah, we've been working on it, and I want to believe those areas that we have visited, they can testify that yes, we are really working on it.
Because the issue of the trucks that go about disposing all of this waste collected from homes to the landfill is also a challenge, and we've had opportunities to speak with some stakeholders in the waste sector who say all of these trucks are getting old. Cost of maintenance is also a challenge, and you have those who you call PSPs who are doing all of this business. They say perhaps it's not profitable any longer when you look at all of these issues put together. The cost of maintenance, transportation, they put all of this together. Say the saying that waste is wealth is no longer true. So when you say you're achieving that move, you're making that move to ensure that all of this comes to standard. Is it a case of government wanting or planning an intervention in that area?
Well, it's truly a big challenge where you have, and due to high price of everything this time around, the diesel price has increased, the truck and everything is a challenge. But at the same time, I would like to use the opportunity to appreciate His Excellency Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Akeredolu for his prompt attention to waste management and environmental issue, and to the MD CEO ZD Global that has been up and doing in making sure that the waste generated in Ondo State is well packed. I think we're moving on, and we want to believe we'll get to that stage where we have zero waste.
Some residents, particularly those who are watching us, will have perhaps some would have cause to disagree with the use of prompt in your submission, that the government is doing a whole lot and using that particular word prompt, because they tell you, I wouldn't know, let's ask this question: how long should waste stay in various homes before the collection?
Especially liquid waste.
What's the standard?
Well, we have our PSPs, and the instruction at our hand is on weekly basis you should be out there to pack waste.
Once in a week?
Yeah.
At least, right?
Yeah.
So
once in a week.
So
household.
Now the ones that do not cover that once in a week.
And you have mentioned that we have challenges. Even we that we are having we are using our private cars.
That's what you tell us. We did not mention it. You told us.
Even we that we are having our private cars, we wake up in the morning times and we discover that we just ignite the car and you say that it's not working. So once in a while it's allowed that the waste collector you are expecting at your hand, maybe the vehicle or the truck developed. And
now let me ask.
Always,
okay. Let me ask. This issue, does it have to occur twice every month or almost every month?
No.
Because I used to live in an area where I pay for the whole month. then they come like once or twice. Then the next month, you think you see something different. Then at some point, people in that street will say, we're not paying anything again because you are cheating us. How do we pay for a whole 1 month? You come twice. Then the next month, you come back with your card again, and you're asking me to pay. When you've not even been bought, because the truth is, if they do not come, that's what encourages people to throw wastes anywhere they see.
No.
So how do we report such issues?
Yeah. What you do is you always come to Ondo State Waste Management Authority to make reports. And we used to tell our waste collectors too that anytime your truck has faults, come immediately to the office and report. We have another department that is working on that. The Ondo State government, I mentioned it the other time that there is always prompt action to waste issue and environmental issue. We are working on our intervention truck, and any moment you will be able to go to those areas where we have vehicular breakdown or due to one reason or the other, the PSP or the waste collector there cannot pack the waste.
I can imagine, because some persons will say what you call intervention truck could also, at the long run, be the main truck that will be doing all of this.
No.
They have reasons.
We have the mega PSP, which is the Zelda Global Alliance. So there is no how the intervention truck can become.
You know why I say that? Because when you, just like my colleagues mentioned, the frequency in the disappointment from all of this PSP that are supposed to get to various homes could lead to you having calls for intervention almost on a daily basis. That's why I say that interventionist truck could eventually be the main truck that will be running that business. Well, let's just leave that, since you say there is plan ongoing, and I know many residents are also hoping for that plan to really start. But let's look at another area, our markets. That's one issue. That's one place where waste is generated. It's also concentrated. When you talk about buying and selling, you use papers, you use nylons, you do this and all of that. That's one critical area. And when you look at food is coming from there, feeding the population, particularly here in Akure, and you begin to wonder, what do we need to do differently to ensure that our markets are clean to standard?
Yeah. One of the mayors is that waste in markets are packed on daily basis, which when I was coming this morning, I saw that they're already there packing for today. And we are there encouraging our market women. They should make sure their waste is well containerized, so that we will not have waste littering everywhere, the roadside, walkway, and everything. So immediately they see the truck coming, let them bring this waste out and give to them.
When you talk about containerizing waste in the markets, have I ever seen that before? I doubt.
Yeah.
What I see is perhaps they use baskets or they use sacks to convey that. That's what we see on the street.
No.
And what they do most times, or almost every time that we get to see them, is to come down to the main road, empty the basket or empty the sack. But in the case where the basket or the sacks are worn out already, they dump them together with it. So that's like saying the issue of containerization is not working. Can it ever work in the market?
It's working in the market. We already have some shop owners that has their dustbin right in front of their shops along Obadeshida Road and even at the Obadeshida Erekeson markets there. Why we are still having little problem is those people that are selling on the major roads. Those are the ones that do not have shop, that are making use of those baskets, sack that you just mentioned, because our officers has been there on different occasions, because it's now compulsory in those states that to a shop there must be a dustbin.
Now, being in charge of enforcement as well, all these complaints we are seeing, I want to know what exactly are the enforcement measures, because the truth is, if nothing is being done, people will keep behaving the way they want to behave. So the issue now is, what enforcement are you putting in place, and what exactly, how have you been handling this flagrant, this abuse of all this?
Yeah. From the enforcement end, there is this saying that says, in a land where there is no law, there is no crime. and Ondo State has a law. Ondo State Waste Management too has a law that established it. So from the enforcement side, we've been using the law and we have been enforcing our people to make sure you don't dump waste indiscriminately, a household to a waste bin, and those violators has always been given fine, which they have been paying to Ondo State Internal Revenue. So we've been out there. And another way, what we are doing is we are also working on morning policing and night policing for those people that used to bring their waste out in the midnight to come and drop on the highway. So we have environmental health officers out there arresting them and taking them to court.
All right, I also want us to look at the issue of this issue of what do I, okay, now let's look at it this way. People, not just ordinary waste, let's talk about human waste.
Okay.
Some people do not even have toilets in their environment. I'm sure you know about that. And that's also not just being a waste, it's harmful to human health. People live in some places where they drop human wastes here and there. Now, have you also looked into that area?
We have been looking at it. And I mentioned it the other time that during our house-to-house inspection to nook and crannies that I said we've been to Obadeshida Road, when we get there, those are one of those things we looked out for. And those houses that failed to comply, I think we have sealed some houses on that effect too. So we're working on it too.
So good. Let's take this conversation further. Two major sports came in the news about about a week ago. That one is the abattoir along Igoba Road. The other one is Shasha Market. Some of our colleagues did some form of exclusive on the sanitation in that particular that area. What have you done since some of the revelations came out?
During the last month's environmental sanitation exercise, the General Manager of Ondo State Waste Management Authority led the team to Abattoir. And when we got there, we saw the situation of things. We dropped the necessary legal documents for those in charge of the Abattoir. And we left there, we went to Igoba community because of the topography of the abattoir and the waterway, the population and everything. When we got to the community, we saw their drainages, we saw the waterway, and we saw the effect of the waste from the abattoir that was not well managed. And we have sent different letters and different legal documents to the management of abattoir. We're expecting them for a meeting on how to manage the waste.
How soon is that likely to take place?
No, the meeting is scheduled. I don't know the actual dates, but I know we are planning to have a meeting with the management of Abattoir any moment from now.
Because residents are wondering that we still hit meat on the daily, and if the situations do not change, perhaps.
No, work is ongoing on that.
Okay, what about the Shasha Market?
At the same time, on Shasha, we've been visiting Shasha long ago, and we've been working on how to make sure.
What's the major problem at that end?
The Shasha has to do with the waste there. I just know by the time we spring into action, we're going to achieve success at the end of the day.
All right, ma'am. Shall we take this conversation forward and talk about part of the developments that we also have here in Ondo State? And that's talking about, is it waste court now that you just created in Ondo State here? What's the concept? What's the idea behind that move?
Yeah, it's a great one. And the secret, the idea behind it is the MD, CEO, ZL Global Alliance has taken that to a next level to make sure that violators of waste management are properly charged into courts, and to make sure the citizens of Ondo State abide strictly to the laws of environment. So in collaboration with Ondo State Judiciary, Honorable Chief Judge of Ondo State came to inaugurate the court last week, Thursday to be precise, and it was excellent. Many people came to grace the occasion. We have the Commissioner, Ministry of Environment present, the essay to the governor on environmental issues was also present, and it was a good one. It's going to be environmental issues and other related issues that will be prosecuted there.
So we should be expecting change in our environmental problems.
Yes, a great one.
All right, now moving on, while we are hoping for all that change, previously some people have been arrested for flouting the orders, especially during environmental days. Now, most of the time, environmental people take it as days they play football in the streets. Others just want to stay in their homes and watch television. Would there be any change regarding that? Because while people do that, their main environment is not completely tidy. How do we encourage people to know that on this particular day, even every other day they should, but on this particular day, there should be more effort in taking care of the environment?
Yeah, we've taken the advocacy and sensitization on monthly environmental sanitation day to a very high level, and to a large extent we want to say we've been recording above 75% sales on to make sure everybody take part in the environmental sanitation, which is the last Saturday of the month. And those few ones that has been failing too has been facing the wrath of the law, because the court is always seated, and now that we are even having another court, I think violators too we have to pay.
Now, if the court has been doing much, why do we keep getting violators all the time?
Court has been doing much, that's just the truth. But human nature, you will always find a violator.
Or is it that you've not made a scapegoat out of anybody yet?
We've been making scapegoats, arrests, and prosecution, and everything has been going on ever since. I think there was a time we arrested over 100 during environmental sanitations, and they were all taken to court, prosecuted, and we have it on here. But there is no how. You still see some people saying, I want to rush to one place, I want to do this or the other. So we're working on it. We'll get there.
All right, ma'am. We hope you do get there. But since your office also talks about public enlightenment, and you spoke about people being aware of laws, perhaps what are some of those basic things you think people are not aware of or they form ignorance of in terms of these laws that could perhaps land them in the courts?
I don't want to agree with you that we have anybody that wants to tell us that is ignorance of the law now, because we are out there on TV station, radio station, telling everybody. I think there is always good to monthly environmental sanitation, like 3 or 4 days to the exercise, which we've been running for years now.
So apart from on the environmental sanitation exercise, that court is not expected to also operate off days?
It's every day. Every day. So even during our house-to-house inspection, I think the last time that we took some people to court, we were caught that they were evacuating the pits soak away illegally, and immediately they were arrested, taken to court. We got a sealing order to seal the premises. So the court is there, working on daily basis.
What do you mean by illegally evacuating?
By not doing it the proper way.
What's the proper way?
The proper way is you have waste truck for doing that. Sewage waste truck. The illegal way is the manual way of doing it, where you see young men there, they dig another pit beside it, then they start evacuating it using buckets like Fesha to bring it out. Then immediately you enter that street, there will be offensive odor everywhere.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying. I don't want to imagine it.
No. Did you lose your balance?
Yes. Whilst you were saying that, I was trying to okay.
These things happen.
Yes, it's more like repeating the same thing but in a different place. So I don't get it. But now, when these things happen, because basically your job is about control. I'm still particular about this control. while you say you've sensitized people, you are everywhere trying to enlighten people. Have you reached all the nooks and crannies? Do you think you've achieved that? You've achieved to that point where you believe everybody know what to do?
Yeah, we've really done a great job, and we're still working on it. And I've said it that we believe we will get there. We're working on it on daily basis. We are out there, nook and crannies, different corners and everywhere, telling them this is how to manage your waste. Where is your dustbin? Can we see your toilet? This is not the prescribed dustbin. This environment is weedy. So we are there. Also online, we are there doing the campaign.
I want to ask, in some states I've seen they share waste bags, so that when they come, it will be packed in a particular way, in a particular bag, making it look more tidy and appealing at least. Do you have that idea in mind?
Waste bag? Yeah, I think there was a time they were using waste bag in Ondo State. Those waste bags are always given to the highway sweepers, those people that used to sweep the highway, so that when they finish sweeping, they will tie it and put it there. But one way or the other, we got to know that our people are abusing the use of the waste bag. They bring their own waste and things like that. But it's still in use. They are still giving it to them.
But not individual households?
No, not household. Household should have waste bin.
Okay, just close your.
Okay, now I'm looking at these days. Some households prefer to use those waste bags. Now, imagine when they tie it and keep it in. Okay, let's assume I'm not going to be at home on this particular Saturday, so I decide to tie it and keep it in front of my gates, hoping that when the waste management authority comes, they will pick it up. Then that day, the waste management people do not come, and I'm still at work up until 8 p.m. By the time I get home, I realize that the dogs on the street have ripped those bags open.
That was what I was trying to explain the other time.
Okay.
That's why we said household should have a prescribed dustbin, airtight, covered,
Okay.
so that by the time dogs and the goats that are littering in the streets will not mess up the whole thing, and at the end of the day, the containerization that we're talking about will not be achieved.
At the end of all of the collection, the generation, collection, transportation of all of this waste, there is a place. A Yoruba proverb is popping into my head right now, but I won't say. There's a place it all ends up, and that's the landfill. I know your job is the supervisory role. What's the situation with our landfills? Because I understand that sometimes last year, the year before, there was an issue about the landfill in terms of its management during rainy season. Some operators complained about not having access, to that particular site. So as it stands today, what's the update on our landfill?
Thank you very much. Because of the challenge that we faced last year, I think since around February we've been working on the dump sites, and the ZL Global has been up and down. The Ondo state government too has been supporting them. I think the engineers too from Ministry of Works has been deployed there to make sure the waste there is properly packed, so that we're not going to face what we faced last year, mainly as we are approaching the rainy season. So work is ongoing on that.
I also understand that
and we also have another landfill now at Akpom, so that if there's any challenge or anything along Ibatoro Road, we're going to have another option where they can be going to.
And people do not stay around there?
No.
Because that's what's very important.
No. Nobody is there.
Alright, Omolara Jones is the head Public Enlightenment Department, Ondo State Waste Management Authority. We must thank you profoundly for gracing the program this morning.
Thank you.
Alright, this is how far we can go on the program today, but my takeout is this: always containerize your waste bins properly. If you are using a bag, tie it properly. If you are using a bucket, make sure it's properly covered. And because these days everybody must not have the exotic waste bin, but whatever it is you're using, make sure it's airtight covered. That way It will not have foul smells while you are waiting for the authorities to come and pick it up. Do join us again on Wednesday for another beautiful edition from my colleague this morning.
Of course, just like you heard, there's now a new court, and run foul of environmental laws. You get to have a date right there. Of course, all of these issues also point about being self-aware, being also conscious about some of the things we get involved with. You might not be the one generating that waste. You might not be the one, responsible for even packing it, but the effects it could have on you should also be your concern. So do well to watch your environment, watch the waste you generate, and ensure proper disposal. I'm Sahid Arabisala. Join us again next time.